Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Brittany and I love digging into the systems and products marketed mostly to photographers and other creative small businesses too. I keep things honest, curious, and occasionally silly because I don't think tech has to be bland. If that sounds appealing to you, I hope you'll consider checking out some of my other videos and potentially subscribing to my channel. Today, I'm doing a platform first date, which basically means I'm trying out a new system for the first time to see how it fits into my workflow and whether it has long-term potential. I won't have much history with the chosen system, and we are just rocking with my genuine first impressions. The good, the bad, and the sometimes awkward. The system I'm taking out today is Pixpa, a kind of do-it-all platform for creatives, offering website building, e-commerce tools, and client galleries all under one roof. My focus is on Pixpa's client gallery services, so I've skimmed their website to get a sense of that service in particular and checked out their pricing, which seems pretty affordable. Now it's time to see if the gallery experience lives up to what they're putting out there. I've split this date up into a handful of categories, like you do with all dates, I guess. And if you're more into speed dating than long walks on the beach, I've dropped timestamps in the description so you can jump to what matters the most to you. First up, the interface. That's where I get my initial read of the system, how it presents itself, how it moves, and whether I feel immediately lost or at total ease. After that, I'll dive into setting up a client gallery, then take a look at Pixpa's built-in shop options, and finally, we'll flip the view to see what things look like from the client's perspective. By covering those areas, we should walk away with a well-rounded look at Pixpa's client gallery system, and maybe even figure out if the system jives with our business. I know there might be something that you were hoping I'd cover that I don't, or something that I focus on that you think doesn't matter. I get it, and I totally respect your opinion, and if you can respect my opinion and what I want to cover, I think we'll get along just great. All right, I think my date just walked in, so let's get into it, starting with the user interface and that all-important first impression. Once we get past the introductory hellos, aka account creation and initial setup, Pixpa's interface comes across really great. It's simple, but not in a bad way. Just clean, focused, and not trying to be flashy for the sake of it. There's a lot to click on, but it's laid out in a way that naturally leads the eye where it needs to go. The dashboard nudges you towards the essentials, like building your website, setting up your store, or creating a client gallery without all those options feeling overwhelming. And that's something I really appreciate. Even though there's a lot Pixpa can do, the interface doesn't make me feel like I've fallen behind or that I need to do everything at that very moment. I'm free to explore at my own pace, and that kind of breathing room is a green flag for me. But now that we've exchanged pleasantries, it's time to get to know Pixpa a little better by asking it, what do you do? I know Pixpa has a whole suite of features, but I'm especially curious about how it handles client galleries. So that's where this date will really start getting interesting. Pixpa's gallery area does not waste time. It tells you exactly what to do. Add album is big, obvious, and it calls my attention right to it. There's no confusion or lost time searching around. That's a really good sign. And if I already have an album set up, there's a nice big button in the corner emphasizing adding albums, so navigation is pretty much always clear. Initial setup is simple. There's an advanced settings area for date and expiration stuff, but honestly, it didn't feel necessary for me to bother with anything in there for this instance. Uploading was quick, which I love, and even better, I could open a new tab and keep working through other gallery settings if I wanted to. That kind of flexibility makes me feel like the platform respects my time. Once I landed in the gallery editor, it felt familiar with the cover image and gallery settings on the left and the photo grid in the center. A layout I've definitely seen before, but with just enough of its own vibe that it didn't feel like it was copying any other provider outright. The settings were easy to skim through and set, privacy, download, all the usual suspects were here. I'm already thinking about setting up a preset in the future because the thought of doing this manually every time would get old real quick. There was one moment when I was trying to set a banner image where I wasn't quite sure what was happening. You can set a banner for the whole album in the main settings and also set individual banners inside each gallery folder. That tripped me up at first since I only had one gallery folder and I couldn't figure out why the album banner wasn't showing up. Once I added a second gallery though, it all made sense. If you have multiple folders for one album, you can either set a banner image for each folder or just don't set a gallery banner at all. Personally, my weddings can have upwards of 10 individual folders to organize all the events of the day, and setting an individual banner for each of those would just end up being a nuisance. I'd opt to set an album banner and then be done with it. It's great that Pixpa offers this sort of micro setting for each gallery folder though. It really allows each one to stand out on its own, which is pretty cool. Making it through the gallery setup was a big hurdle for our date, and we made it through pretty okay. Setup was easy enough. There were a couple quirks, but nothing that made me run for the door. Now I'm interested in getting to know the extras of Pixpa, or its hobbies, if you will. So let's check out the shop tools to get an even better idea of this system. Nothing says long-term potential like helping me make a passive income off prints. And honestly, Pixpa makes that surprisingly painless. The shop setup is quick, straightforward, and it doesn't make me overthink my offered products or markup. There's self-fulfillment if you like inputting print orders yourself. I very much do not. I still have nightmares of row systems chasing me, Scooby-Doo style. Or you can link it up with WHCC and let automation do its thing. I already had an account with WHCC, which is a print house, so it was very fast for me to just log in and get going. But if you don't have an account, I seem to recall that WHCC account setup is really easy, so hopefully it's a low hassle, big win sort of situation. Once we have our price list set, seeing that 129 item number made me pause for a second. I'm guessing it counts all the size and paper type combos because there definitely weren't 129 separate products in there. There's still loads of goods for clients to pick from, but it's not as overwhelming as that initial item count made me feel. And it later changed to 800 plus items, which I also didn't understand, but I'm just gonna keep moving forward. Some quirks just don't need to be investigated right away. Customization is also pretty smooth. You can hide anything you don't want to offer and build your own packages if you're feeling ambitious. Truthfully, I have never focused on package selling before, so I don't know much about package building, and I'm not going to get the full education that I need right now, so I just ended up hiding this option after I set it up. But just know that there are package building options if that's a route you take for your products. If you're not a fan of the system auto marking up your product prices, manual bulk markup can be done for a product, or prices can be individually adjusted per item. And we can also turn individual offerings off if there's a print size we don't want our clients buying. I did have to jump back to the album and flip on the sell switch and make sure the correct price list was selected. So it's not fully hands-off for this album, but it will be once I set up a preset for future albums. It's quick to get the shop rolling, and I appreciate how beginner-friendly it feels, and also how much opportunity I still have for growth in the future. Alright, so far, Pixpa's been an upstanding date. The UI, gallery setup, shop features, there's been no deal breakers so far. But you know how first dates go, anyone can seem impressive when they're talking about themselves. The real test is in how they treat other people. So with that in mind, let's take a look at how Pixpa shows up for our clients. The gallery the client receives, once all the banner and gallery hiccups are handled on the back end, is genuinely beautiful. The interface feels intuitive with features like side-by-side comparison and favoriting that makes the experience feel interactive and polished. Clients can download the entire gallery or hover over individual images to favorite, download, or purchase. Clicking into an image opens a larger view where they can also start a slideshow or share that photo. The buying process, for the most part, is smooth. The layout is clean, and selecting sizes, quantities, and adding items to the cart is quick. If something needs to be removed, there are helpful visual cues guiding that process. But the cracks start to show on the view cart screen. If a client tries to increase the quantity of an item above 1, the counter will not allow that to happen. And if that item was already set above 1, trying to adjust the number will actually drop the quantity to 1, even if we're hitting the plus symbol. I'm usually pretty quick to think I'm the problem and look for how I can fix it. Add that to my list of things I need to talk to my therapist about. But this time, I feel like this is a system bug that is totally out of my control. Another issue shows up if a client reopens a print they've already added to their cart. Some of the interface gets grayed out and they're blocked from adding the item again unless they change the size, then switch it back to what they originally wanted. It feels like an unnecessary workaround, honestly. I also ran into an issue with the large print option. The shop is saying that the product isn't available on the client's end, but on the photographer's side, I do have that product option available in the price list, and the sizes and paper types are all switched on. So I'm not sure if there's a temporary issue with supply, but I'm not seeing any alerts of a product change or any updates from Pixpa. This is the first moment where the experience genuinely falters. Everything else I've run into felt like small misunderstandings or design quirks. But these shop bugs, these are real friction points a client could hit, and that is not something I'm comfortable ignoring. So, how was the date? Honestly, better than I expected, but still a little disappointing. The gallery setup was straightforward, the layout felt familiar in a good way, and it didn't try to hide anything behind weird menus or unclear steps. Uploads were fast, and I loved that I could keep working in another tab while things loaded. Green flags all over the place. The inclusion of accessibility and SEO tools shows that Pixpa is thinking beyond just how things look, which I really value in a system meant for clients. But then there were the shop moments. On my end, it was super easy to set up, whether I wanted self-fulfillment or to link up with WHCC. But once a client got involved, things started to get shaky. The print buying experience has some real red flags, with the quantity resetting and then not budging past 1 at all. There's workarounds to some things, but the expectation from a client is that they are going to get a professional gallery from start to finish that doesn't require them to jump through any hoops. If something turns out to be more difficult than its perceived worth, well, they may take their ordering and future business elsewhere. And here's the thing, I can overlook a hiccup on the photographer side if I know what's going on. But if my client runs into a bug or gets confused in the buying process, that's harder to excuse. Not only is it inconvenient for them, but it cuts into my potential earnings. Which may be selfish, but when running a business, we gotta be a little bit selfish. So while Pixpa makes a strong first impression, it's polished, it's fast and easy to use, it's not a full yes for me just yet. I'd want to see those client-facing issues get resolved before agreeing to see it again. And that about does it for my first date with Pixpa's client gallery service. That sounds like what is that, Kiki's delivery service? If you're a past or present user, I'd love to hear how your experience has been. Maybe we went on different kinds of dates and had totally different outcomes. I'd love to chat about that. Also, while I am going to ghost the client gallery for now, I am intrigued by their website builder, so maybe that will be getting a call from me. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you'll consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that little bell to be alerted whenever I go on my next system date. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.